Good evening. You're listening live to the Extreme Movie Show. I'm your host, Rob, broadcasting to you as always from the Pinos Palace, just west of Orlando, Florida. I'm in the Extreme Studios, and I've got one RDV on the Midwestern Line Exchange. And RDV tonight, of course, we're continuing up one of the last episodes of Season 2. This will be Episode 7, Live Support, a.k.a. Tyson's Revenge of Tulsa King. Pretty interesting episode, and the one pattern that I think that we definitely will both agree on, despite some of the scenes we're going to talk about here, is Season 1 started off great, and then it was kind of mid in the middle, setting things up. But then you had it all of a sudden gain traction at the end, and you just let it go. We definitely get that vibe in here because there's a lot of moving chess pieces, as they say on the board. And interesting developments, only one or two negative things, I think, from my end about it. Really entertaining episode in a lot of different ways. I really appreciate a lot of different aspects of characters and the way they've acted, how it was different in this episode. What's your take?
Well, this is the episode. It's called Life Support because, well, I guess it's like a metaphor maybe too a little bit, because Tyson's career, his life in the gang, is on life support because his stupid decisions. His dad did survive the car bomb because the bomb went off too early. And my suspicions were correct. It was linked to Cal Thrasher, but he had nothing to know about it. Because it was Jackie King, that basically it gave his buddy, told him, hey, go do this. So we learned that out. So this was great. What's up, Ed Brewer?
Yeah,
I know, right?
Ed, I know he loves this show.
Yeah. So Tyson's also on edge. His mom shuns him at the hospital, blames him for this, won't let him, wants nothing to do with him.
Doing what a mom can do.
Yeah.
Make you feel guilty no matter
which
which age.
Is such a weird thing because she was all hunky-dory with him and my man Freddie slipped over himself. Sitting there, damn word. She's a hypocrite. All because now her
can't mess with hubby though, with daddy that brings it home every day. That's all I'm saying.
Like, was she killing herself? And now, as I said, like, how can she's such a hypocrite. That's a huge red flag I saw in this episode, the way she was acting towards Tyson. But Tyson, ends up on edge. He goes to the car dealership. He tells him, I need a car. And he basically shows the guy his gun, intimidated the guy, and giving him a new vehicle and stuff. So he gets a Tahoe and stuff, and then next time we see Tyson through the episode is that he's at the bar, and we get this really incredible, awesome scene from Mitch talking to him, telling him common sense, like, hey, I know you're all strung up on this, it's like, but you don't want to be that guy. You don't want to pull a trigger and shoot somebody because you said, and it's very cliche the same thing because you've heard this before in other speeches, but the way Garrett Hedlund delivers it, he's like, dude, the minute you shoot someone, you see them for the rest of the time. If you close your eyes, you see their face. It haunts you, and now we know that Mitch has actually shot someone before and murdered someone before. Yeah, because before we knew that he went to jail for like narcotics, and because he's an ex-bull rider.
Well, it builds his character by communicating the danger that Tyson can be in. Yeah. So you're not shitting on somebody to make yourself look good. It's a plus kind of exchange here. It is a good scene.
And it's not just Stallone, talking to Tyson, calling him an idiot, because he says, Tyson, I understand you're not in the right state of mind, but please take my advice. Think about it before you do something stupid. When you're wait till tomorrow, let it sink in tomorrow when you're not, all on nerve stuff. And but that's what's going on in Tyson this episode. Meanwhile,
let me ask you this with Tyson though.
Yeah.
Because you're right. Tyson's is a premier thing this episode. Now, I don't know if this is a negative to me, but here's the thing. We've talked about how some of the interesting things is how there's little bits of pivots on characters. Not something that goes totally against their nature, but you get to see other sides of them. Tyson, we always wondered if he would end up becoming a bad dude going up against them because, as he already says to Stallone, he's like, man, I wanted to be like you. And it's like, well, you're not like me, is what he's going to need to say. But they always say don't meet your heroes or your mentors in a way because they're not like you. And, it's that whole thing, your parent, when you're a kid, to become an adult, you almost feel like you have to kill them or surpass them in a way that psychologically speaking. And here, Tyson, we knew this was going to happen, right? We could see it from early on.
We saw
did we not like the fact that it was so predictable though?
Well, we knew it, right. We did know the windmill, the fight. You saw the whole Tyson was letting his anger out, beating the guy.
Yeah,
more than he needed to. You knew something was going to happen, and Tyson has just been a powder keg, ready to explode. So through this episode, and all it took was for his dad to get targeted, and Dwight says like, "Hey, you say, hey, dumbass, it wasn't meant for your dad. It was meant for me. If anything can do anything about it, it's gonna be me.
It's not your fault. No survivor's guilt.
Yeah, you know." He's like, and Tyson's like, well, remember they're trying to take out me too. It's like, no, dude, they were trying to take out me,
bro.
You're not, yeah. And Tyson is showing like every punk kid, every like sitcom, like family sitcom in the 80s, and just like he gets it all wrapped up in his head. He starts, and he proves that he basically is a kid still, the way he thinks. He hasn't matured. He tries to act, tough, but he's not tough. And he's kind of one of those kids like you see in the movies where he's the one that has the meltdown. He's the one that ends up getting shot or in trouble because he murdered somebody. He's, in a sense, he is like
he's a statistic.
No, he's basically going back to the Outsiders. He's Soda Pop, whatever, or because Pony Boy was with them. Soda Pop murdered a guy out of rage, and that's kind of like what Tyson is going to become if he keeps going down this path. But like I said, there's other things going on in this episode too, other than just a Tyson. We have Chicky's kind of like was called up by Dwight. Dwight's want to know, hey, did you send a guy down here to try and whack me? Was that you? He's like, no. He's like, and then he calls, and talks to Frank Grillo's character. He asks him, was it you? He's like, no. It's like, why would I do that? And Frank was having a meeting with his guys and says like, well, maybe it's New York doing this to try to frame us, because we have bad blood with them, and like maybe we should go attack them. And I love how Frank says like, are you fucking idiot?
Yeah,
like, I'm not gonna start a war. It's like this. Obviously, and he has an idea who might be. Then we see one of the coolest things in this episode is that. It's been waiting for this to happen. We've now talked about this. Armand is at the ranch.
Yes.
And Dwight walks up to him.
This is when you're like, Dwight's not a joke. He's not a pushover. He's a man.
I told you. He knew.
No. He knew. We knew. Yeah. He always did.
And Armand's working for Dwight. He's like, hey, by the way, like, did you tell him about the windmill? He's like, oh,
no, of course not. I might have inadvertently done it.
Yeah. Inadvertently, he's like, allow me to freaking remind you. And he's like, and he keeps turning. He's like, no, turn away. Look at the horses.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like, because Dana Delany's over there, and he doesn't want Dana Delany, because she's like, keep the shit off of her property, your drama stuff.
The great line between them is when they're there, and he's like, come on, Dwight, man, I'm caught in the middle, and he's like, there is no middle.
My side.
Oh, I love that. That was so good.
Yeah,
that was so good.
Yeah. So. If Dwight's correct, what I'm thinking Dwight's going to do, he's going to make, what's his name, his informant on Cal. Thresher.
I'm not feeling Cal as the threat, and you know what? Maybe I read that wrong because he got such a great introduction. But even in this episode, there's a lot of stuff that goes on with him.
Yeah, and I was at the point until the very end with Cal Thresher. Dwight then goes up, drives up in his truck, goes up and down, and he's got a Bigfoot with him, and he talks over. He's like, hey, it's like Thresher. He's like, what the fuck's your problem? It's like, are you the one behind this? This bombing? As it was you.
Cal didn't know,
and Cal had no idea, which I knew was going to happen because it wasn't Cal, it was Jackie King. It sent one of his goons in a white little Prius, to try and whack up. And he's like, and he confronts the guy. He's like, and the guy's like, no half measures, This guy he's like, what the fuck's your problem? He's like, my neck's on the line, not yours, And you see him get, and I love this because this is where Neal McDonough, his character Cal, really shows that he's a badass because he gets But then the problem is that he does this, and then the other guy is worse, loose cannon.
Mhm.
So the guy eventually shows him the car, and you get this scene here where right here we get the scene in the car. He's like, "You fucking idiot!" He's like, "Are you serious?" It's like, why is he like, you get rid of this car? He's like, "Oh yeah, don't worry." He's like, well, my buddy, he'll get rid of it. And he's like, "But what if he speaks?" And then Jackie Ching, or King, shoots the guy on the left over there in the head while he's in the car, and then they end up crushing the car later on that night within minutes.
Well, the whole reason why Dwight knows to be looking for a white Prius isn't because some of the people on his team kind of told him. It's because in the only probably lighthearted moment of this episode, we see a student driver coming up to a red stop sign in a middle-class neighborhood, and we see the car block him off, and he gets out, and it's the dude from season 1 that he ended up in that shootout with that was trying to drive him for the license, right? And you're like, oh, this is such a great little cameo, because he says, "Hey, I need you to find me a license plate, and it's got AZ and all that, and here's 10 grand. He's like, "I really want to get involved in all this." He's like, "You can go now." It was the guy who did a really good job with it. That was a funny scene.
The way how he got the license plate was even clever too, because Dwight went up to one of the guys customers of where they saw the van,
of his father's plumbing one, the one that gave him the chili.
Yeah. So he's like, "Here, I'm a guy representing them," and then stuff, and insurance stuff. He's like, "No, how about 5 big ones?" He's like, "Oh, come in."
That's my tea.
Because he wanted to see his ring thing. So Dwight knows about the ring cameras, and they guys get the footage, and then he goes to Brody. Brody zooms in, you'll see the cop dramas, like they zoom in closer, editing, and then they get the license plate. AZ is online, so he goes. He ends up cutting out the guy at the driving school drug instructor, and he says like, "Hey, I'll be under here in a second. Here's 10 big ones. 10,000. Keep your mouth shut. It's the last time I'll ever see me." He's like, "I just need to look this up." The guy calls him, tells him he gets through the shell company and stuff. So Tyson, meanwhile, this is all going on, goes and spends time with his father. And he says, he thinks his father in a coma, or I can't remember if his father's in a coma or whatever, surviving.
He survived. He was going to have surgery. He was going to be in a hospital for about a week. And
about a week. Yeah. So Tyson starts talking to his own and says, "I know I wish I could trade with you, and if you were sitting here, you do the same thing." And this is Tyson is such an idiot because he thinks his dad would go for revenge. His dad would not, and so. Immediately after Tyson leaves, his dad ends up calling, Manfredi says, "Hey, was Tyson with you? He said some scary shit, Dwight calls him because where he's outside a car, Frank Grillo's place with a gun.
Yep.
But before he can do anything, after calling Dwight, or Dwight talks on the phone, tells him, "Hey, I got the owner of it. Come back here. It's stupid."
Tyson ignores him.
They ignores him, and then this car comes running out of the property, starts shooting at him. They get a shootout. The guy crashes into a wall, and they see the guy kind of convulsing, and then he almost looks like he's going to die. And Tyson drives out of there like a bat out of hell. And that's how that ends, with that episode with Tyson just murdered a guy.
Tyson this season, if you guys watch him, it's one thing to listen to the character growth when we talk about, is he going to turn into this? Is he just really this or that with all the characters? But one of the things about Tyson this season is you can watch somebody's physical growth and their dress growth, because sometimes that implies stuff. Yeah. He's really upped his pimp game out as far as his suits and stuff. He's getting really stylish. He's getting really whatever. He's got great hair and mutton chops in here. He's really getting to be retro old school kind of Superfly gangster, and I like it. And because before he kind of wasn't really. So it shows that there's this growth in him where he's thinking he's turning into a man, because like he says to Manfredi, "Well, I was trying to be like you, or I want to be like you," because he sees a role that he wants. He just doesn't understand the price you have to pay to do it. And that doesn't mean you pay the price, it's going to happen. And that's the moral lesson we're going to get from him.
He thinks that this is GTA, like a video game. Yeah. He doesn't think it's he doesn't concept the real that where Dwight even mentions to Delany's character, because he usually broke up with her. He says, "I'm too hot right now. I don't want you to get danger." So he breaks up with the ranch after talking to Armand. later on that she's at the casino there at dinner. He's like, and she's like, yeah, I'm surprised how fast you call me back. He's like, yeah, it's a sign of weakness. He's like, not really. She's like,
she's like, come back to my place and screw me.
She's pretty much. He's like, she's like, she's like, kind of finding it. You're a little dangerous. You're it's kind of a turn on. Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I love the scenes of Dan Delany. It's better than Zoe.
You know what? She's staring right at him, giving that freaky deaky eye.
Yep.
However, since they probably have the next couple seasons written out, here's a not so hot take based off of everything we talked about with her character.
There's one
She's in charge of the Chinese.
So here's one more thing about her. She says she knows about Cal Thresher and his dealings. Right. So she implements herself that she knows about his, and so I wonder. I don't think she's involved with the Chinese. I don't think that. I think she might honestly just be an outsider and just knows things because she has her ear to the ground. She's had to deal with people like him in the past.
Her heels are, I think, well too dug in for that to be
in
circles.
Or she's connected somehow. Somebody else. Maybe she's a daughter.
I think Cal works for her though.
Yeah, I don't. That'd be really weird if they did because.
Well, Cal's got the hots for her, and you can understand they obviously knew each other, not just socially. It seemed like,
but the way
they known each other a long time.
The way they interacted before when he came back, he's like going to head the hots, and he tried to like hit on her and stuff, and stuff. How she just told him to get lost, I don't, and she's kind of grossed out by him. I don't think they worked together ever.
Well, I'm trying to find something that fits because I just can't believe she's just there for that role.
Well, we don't know what it is, and then they'll probably reveal something in third season about her. But overall, like I said, it was an interesting episode. I liked it. Tyson's it was a ticking time bomb. He knew he was going to do something stupid. That's just the way his character's been gradually going from the get go. His dad says you're a punk kid. It's like and as his dad didn't like him being around. That's because he was enabling him to be a bad behavior. Tyson got to fool himself. Even Dwight was getting in his face. A few times. And so anyway, I love how Dwight said he's like, I made 25 years of mistakes, it was cost me everyone I loved. I wasn't there for them, and then who's gonna be at the funeral? No one. It's like I said, he hates his life. But it is what it is. The other thing was did his daughter something? Was there something with his daughter? I know she's in this episode, but I don't think there was anything.
There was a knock on the door.
Oh yeah.
He said, "Hey, you guys go up there, lock the door just to be safe." And he opens it up, and what do we have? Because there's a bomb.
Agent Johnson and Johnson.
Yeah. FBI agents.
FBI dicks that were ones that were trying to tell him the couple episodes ago.
Mm-hmm.
And they're asking about the bomb. He's like, well, and I was like, do you know anything about this? And stuff. It's like, it's like, and then they throw a curveball. So what was that sit down in Atlanta about? He goes, what do you mean? I don't know these people. He's like, well, there's a photo of you guys together. He's like, well, we casually can't just sit down. And I don't know. People do all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, if you know anything, he's like, don't hold your breath, Or he says, don't wait by the phone. He's like,
the guy's like, nobody does that now. It's just the new world, or whatever.
Yeah.
This old expression. Yeah.
You showed your age, bro. And it's just thinking like those guys are gonna get whacked in one of the episodes.
I still can't tell what's going to happen here. I think we have one more episode to go. I liked a lot of what's in here. I kind of thought Stallone's daughter, who plays the blonde ranch hand that's nursing the horse back to health and all that, I thought they might have developed some like C-level plot between her and our man just to generate some interest and keep on screen. Then they haven't done that. I
wonder if we'll get a Marion type in this series, an FBI director who wants Ben Freddy's head, for all this bullshit that's going on and wants,
I think the FBI would be fun to sit back and let all the people kill each other, honestly.
Yeah, true. But I mean, like, I wonder if we'll ever get that in this. And I mean, I don't want one, but I'm wondering if they're going to go that direction. But
here's something that surprised me, and based off of what we saw earlier in the season, there's two scenes, 1 and 1B. I think the best scene and most entertaining to me was, and you touched on it, was when, and we say Frank Grillo's character because we never remember his name, when he's sitting down having a lessons learned meeting with his hired hands. The one dude's like, strike first, strike hard, no mercy.
That's the dude that got shot at the end.
Right. Exactly. And then the other guy is like, well, we could just blah, 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 blah. And he's basically trying to tell him, hey, look, guys, this guy's different. He's a killer. I made a deal with him. It's not like he likes the guy, but you can
Yeah.
sense just the way he's asking questions and the way he's sitting there with a cigar.
Oh,
He's thinking about it. He's
no.
like, come on, guys, what's the deal here? He just doesn't believe that he's involved in it. And I'm wondering, this is really interesting because with the sit down, we saw almost a slight pivot. And now you wonder because him and Kyle Thresher, who I thought was excellent in this episode, to your point, he played to his strengths. It makes me wonder if there's going to be some eternal strife there, not even just with the Chinese guy, but between those two. Something's got to give.
Yeah, and also with Fire is Chicky, when Dwight calls up, he's like, put Vincent on the phone. He's like, what do you mean Vincent? He was there at the meeting, you weren't.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Vincent gets pissed, or not Vincent, but Chicky gets pissed, there. And then when he also gets when he calls up Frank Grillo's character, and he's like, well, you weren't there, I better talk to Vincent. And he's like, what do I want to talk to Vincent for? He's like, it's just, I love this. And then the family's Vincent, I think he did drop the fact that he killed his old man.
He did to the other crime families, because the crime families were losing respect for that family, because they are the funny line in there, which you could only say in today's world, and that makes sense and is appropriate. And this is good writing, where he's like, hey, you guys getting tired of knocking over Amazon vans yet or whatever? He's like, well, we're not that bad yet. And it's true, because it's like, what do you guys do? You don't have any relevancy. And so I really like how they've turned this character into somebody that might go up against Chicky. This is good internal strife.
Yeah. Vince said, no, we're gonna do the drugs. We do all the legal stuff. We're piggyback off that stuff. The Ozempic. We'll do the weed business. We'll do all the legal stuff up to the certain point. And just and to make money that way.
Yep.
And so. These guys weren't the head honchos. These are like the guys, and they used to be the right hand mans. They weren't even the head guys, but they said they're gonna go talk to their guys and get back to you. And the guy said, one bartender, he's like Vince, I'm very proud of you, because he goes, more normally people do just go whack their boss. Instead, you did the right thing. Talk to us. So here's one problem with that, is that Chicky finds out, and Chicky kills Vince. Or they
Chicky's got that up.
So this is what I think is going to happen. They're going to try to turn on Chicky. They're going to send some goons to take out Chicky, and Chicky's going to survive. And then Chicky's going to start taking down the gang, the mob.
I do want more from Chicky.
Yeah,
I'm not getting it, but I do want more.
Yeah, because you see him when he gets that look in his eyes. He's kind of it's like Vincent D'Onofrio when he plays the Kingpin.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, that guy's gonna fucking kill someone.
He was so good in, what was it, Reacher, that second season or whatever it was?
Yeah, it was playing the cop.
Oh, yeah, and that made me go, oh, it's this dude. He's so strong, and yet his potential's not been tapped yet.
So they're waiting. Remember, this is all building up. So eventually, you're gonna have a showdown between Chicky and Dwight. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
So we'll wait for whatever that happens. But over another strong episode. Like I said, this has been my favorite show of the year. We wrapped up The Old Man last week, and all of you guys have checked out that, did the season finale on reviewed that on Sunday, and only a couple more episodes after this, I think.
I think it's one more. It's interesting because there's so many characters and moving parts that you start getting used to one, and then you feel like nothing's happening because whatever, and they just give you a few seconds of time to barely nudge the plot along. And I get it's a juggling act, but you always wonder, what's this leading to? What it means that what screen time you have has to be important. So there's a quick scene in here. It's one of the last scenes I'll talk about here as we finish up, where they're in their pot household or whatever, and they're talking or whatever. And the main dude that basically I always wondered if he would turn on Stallone because he got strong arm into doing it. He's the smart guy. He's the brains of the operation. There's those two security chumps at the end or what, like that fat boy with the mutton chops, and they're always making jokes and cracking or like that. And I'm like, you're in a good gig and you're screwing around. I don't like it. We talked about how the blonde girl seemed pretty interesting in some episodes. Yeah, she's got the piercing, I think it was a love or whatever, tattooed across her neck.
She makes a good
She's an interesting character. Yeah. And I'm like, it's nice that they just kind of remind you that they can do different things with it. And that's part of what I like about the show. You're not quite sure. And even Cal, like I said, I thought had his best acting job in this episode because he knows he's got to deal with this shit on his own. And he's not a coward. First, I thought he was a pussy after such a strong opening. But now it's like, okay, how are you going to handle this? Because I don't care about the Chinese guy; he's one dimensional, right? Everybody else
Yeah.
that has two dimensions, it's interesting to watch how they play with each other. It is a soap opera. Let's be honest; it's really
I
what it
don't
is.
I don't know. I don't think Bolo Young's one
It's not Bolo
dimensional.
Young, but I wish it
I,
was.
I feel like he's gonna be a heavy, and he's gonna end up. Cal's gonna have to either take him out, or he's gonna have to. Cal's gonna team up with Frank Grillo and be like, "Hey, got this issue here. This guy is bad for business and all."
You don't bring the triads in as like simple commies just for one season. It's going to be a
Or
part of a longer
do you
storyline, I
think
think.
so? Do you think Cal's gonna get shot, or do you think he's gonna get arrested?
I think neither.
You think he's
I
gonna get
think
away with?
I think the thing about Cal, even though okay, he gets rejected by the women, he's very smooth. I don't want to see me butt hurt, but
Yeah.
he's the thinker. He plays the long game,
So you think
and
he's gonna get away? He's gonna get away with it, and then the other guy is gonna get whacked, or
he's going to figure something out. Whether he's going to get arm end to turn or whatever like that, he's going to save his own ass. And there was a part of me that when Dwight came up to him and was asking him about, did you set the bomb? He's like, what the hell are you talking about? I thought at a moment the smart play would have been to sit there and said, come here, and they walk and they get Jamie King or whatever like that, the Asian guy, and just Cal called him out in front of him or whatever like that because he didn't know. I thought, man, that would have been a great tense scene. It doesn't have to be a shootout, but they're savoring that. And I think obviously, with Tyson, that's the big angle there. But I think it's gonna. I always go when you have too many characters. What's the best way to get rid of them all? You have a big shoot off. That's what we had last season, right? My expectation is that's what we're going to have, and I don't know if that's the case, but why not? It's going to reset kind of everything. I just don't see one specific very strong angle they're going to go for. I think they're going to have to eliminate a few of these characters.
Let's move on the pasture.
Yeah. Bury the body, bag the head.
Yep, someone's going to buy the farm. That's great about this. In Tulsa, you can just bury him wherever you want. You can bury him wherever you want to bury him. It's not like in New York, you hide the body dumpster. No, you can just bury him in a landfill somewhere.
It's a fun show, guys. I know, Ed, it's been a while, and you said you got a binge season 2. It's worth it. They did a great job of catching you up in the first episode, and then just slips. It's an easy show to slip into and just sit back and watch. I do appreciate the weekly drops rather than everything all at once. There's a nice pace to it as well. They do a good job with that.
For those who don't have Paramount Plus, they are releasing these on DVD. First season's already on DVD at Walmart, and so I imagine this will be out released by about a month or so in Walmart.
Yeah.
After, So, all right,
final thoughts?
No, just on that. It's just like I said, Tyson's now in a pickle now because if that guy dies, he's gonna be wanted for murder, or not wanted for murder, but he's just gonna be known as a murderer, and he's gonna be haunted by this, and then
turn into a pimp, Tyson, please.
Well,
it's some women run another racket
because he did this. There's gonna be bad blood between him and Dwight.
Yep.
He disobeyed a direct order.
Yeah, Daddy's got to put you down, bro.
Yep.
Happy Halloween, everybody. Whatever it is that you guys do for the holidays or don't do, enjoy it. And we'll see you next week. Anything coming up worth noting?
Well, this Sunday, Pixel is going to be here during this Sunday. He confirmed it. So it's the three of us, Rob and I and Pixel, are going to each choose a movie. I'm going to put a poll up later tonight, and you guys can vote on for what movie we're going to do on Sunday.
Got it. Perfect, guys. Look forward to you guys voting and participating. All good to see some familiar faces in chat as well. Some new ones there. You guys have a good night. Good night now.
And always leave a comment down below. Let us know what you guys are thinking about this episode. Do you think it was a great episode, or do you think it was a boring episode? Let us know what your favorite part and what the worst parts was, or just say hi. Every comment helps the algorithm. Later, guys. And as always, great seeing you guys, Marania and Ed. Anybody else who's watching right now below or watching the replay. Later.